All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're going deep into the world of drainage solutions.
Okay. Drainage.
Yeah, sounds kind of, well, maybe not the most exciting thing, but we've got these notes about a company, AJS Environmental.
AJS Environmental.
Right, and they
Yeah.
do work in Essex, London, that area. And honestly, looking through this stuff, it's way more interesting than you might think.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised. Like, the stuff they're doing, it's pretty cutting edge, not just, the typical drain unblocking.
Exactly. I thought the same thing. They've got solutions for everything from basic unblocking to, get this, UV drain lining.
UV drain line.
Yeah. And they even use CCTV to check out the pipes. It's wild. Imagine a tiny camera going through your drains.
It's like space age tech, but for something we totally take for granted.
So true. Okay, let's start basic. What exactly does AJS Environmental do? What services?
Well, they do it all, really. They've got the drain unblocking, the CCTV drain surveys, that UV lining you mentioned, and even something called manhole infiltration.
Manhole infiltration. Okay, now I gotta know, what is that?
It's actually a bigger deal than it sounds. You know those manhole covers everywhere?
Yeah, sure.
Well, they're access to the sewer system, right? But over time, they can get cracks, leaks, and then groundwater can seep into the system, and that's bad news.
Bad how?
Contaminates the water supply, could even damage stuff around it, the infrastructure.
So it's not just about keeping things flowing, it's like environmental protection too.
Exactly. That's where companies like AJS come in. They can assess the situation, figure out where the problem's coming from, and they've got the techniques to seal everything up tight.
So they're more than just drain unblockers, so drain detectives or something.
Right. Using science, innovation to solve problems most people don't even know exist.
Yeah.
And it's not just fixing stuff, it's preventing problems too.
And I noticed they work with all sorts of clients, right? From huge companies, like I saw KFC mentioned, to regular homeowners.
Yeah, that really shows how adaptable they are. Clearly, they can handle any size project, no problem.
Okay, so let's dig into some of their more specialized services. You mentioned UV drain lining. What is that exactly? And what makes it better than the old way of doing things?
So imagine you've got a pipe, it's cracked, leaking, whatever. The old way, you'd probably have to dig the whole thing up, right? Expensive, disruptive.
Makes sense.
But with UV lining, they put this flexible liner inside the pipe. It's got special resin on it. And then they use UV light to harden it. Basically a brand new pipe inside the old one.
Wow. So it's like giving the pipe a whole new life without all the digging. But what kind of resin is this? Is it different from what they'd use normally?
Yeah, good question. These resins, they're made to harden super fast under UV light. And they bond really strong to the existing pipe. We got to be flexible and tough too, right? To handle everything inside the drain system. There's actually a bunch of different types depending on the job, but we won't get too deep into the chemistry today.
Okay, fair enough. But good to know it's not just random resin they're using. So less mess, probably faster repairs. Any other advantages?
Big one is it's way better for the environment than digging everything up. I mean, think about it. All that digging, replacing pipes, messes up the area, creates tons of waste. UV lining avoids all that. And the resins themselves, they're usually chosen to be eco-friendly.
So it's efficient, less disruption, and good for the planet. Sounds like UV drain lining is a real game changer for this whole industry.
It really is. And that kind of forward thinking, that's something AJS seems really passionate about. It's not just about fixing the problem, it's about doing it right. For the long haul.
Totally. They're not just in it for a quick fix. They're thinking about the bigger picture, for the environment and their clients.
Exactly. And that reminds me, we got to talk about their CCTV drain surveys. Those are pretty cool too.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that. Is it literally a tiny camera they send down the drain? What can they even see with that?
Pretty much. It's a special camera system that goes right inside the pipes. Think of it like giving your drains a checkup, I guess. The camera sends live video back to a monitor so they can see blockages, cracks, tree roots, even if part of the pipe has collapsed. Anything that could cause a problem, basically.
So it's not just about finding problems that already exist, it's about preventing them too.
Exactly. Spotting the issues before they turn into huge disasters. Early detection, proactive maintenance, so much better than waiting for a pipe to burst or a drain to totally clog up.
Which I bet saves a ton of money in the long run.
Yeah.
But are there limits to what they can see with the camera? Are there things they might miss?
Well, it depends on the camera, right? Some are more high-tech than others, and obviously the camera can only see what's right in front of it. Might be hidden problems behind bends or places that are hard to reach. But even with those limits, CCTV surveys are a really valuable tool.
And I bet they're becoming even more important now. With all the old infrastructure in cities, being able to find weak spots before they turn into huge problems, that's got to be key.
Totally. It's like having a map of your drains showing you exactly where the trouble spots are so you can fix them before they cause real trouble.
So we've got UV drain lining, which is like super innovative and good for the environment. And then these CCTV surveys, which are all about preventing problems before they happen. It really sounds like AJS is leading the way when it comes to tech in the drainage world.
They definitely seem to be embracing all the new stuff. But honestly, beyond the technology, what stood out to me was how much they focus on doing a good job and keeping their customers happy.
Yeah, I saw that too. They've got some amazing reviews from clients talking about their expertise, how professional they are, and how they always go above and beyond.
And these aren't just like generic, good job reviews. These are detailed stories from people who were clearly impressed with what AJS did for them.
So let's talk about those reviews. What are people actually saying?
A few things come up over and over. Knowledgeable, conscientious, exceeding expectations. Clients always mention how good they are at solving problems and how quickly they respond, especially in emergencies.
It sounds like they've built a really solid reputation. Reliable, trustworthy. They do what they say they will. And they've been doing this for over 20 years. That's a pretty amazing track record.
It really is. Shows how much experience they have and how they're focused on building those long-term relationships with their clients. It's not just about getting the job done. It's about being a partner you can rely on for all your drainage needs.
Okay, so they've got the tech, they care about their customers, tons of experience. Anything else stand out to you from their notes?
Well, one thing that caught my eye was their Safe Contractor Accreditation. I wonder what exactly that means and how it benefits their clients.
Yeah, good point. I was curious about that too. Maybe we should look into that a bit more.
Definitely. Seems like an important part of how they do business, being professional and making sure everything's safe.
Well, we've already covered a ton, but I'm definitely interested to learn more about this safe contractor thing. And we should probably dive deeper into that manhole infiltration issue too.
Absolutely. It's amazing how much there is to learn about this stuff, things we never even think about.
All right, let's take a quick break here and come back to uncover more of these drainage mysteries in part 2 of our deep dive.
Back again, delving deeper into the world of drains. Who knew it could be so interesting?
Right. And we left off talking about AJS Environmental and this safe contractor accreditation they have. What's the deal with that?
It's a pretty big deal, actually, especially in construction and maintenance work. Basically, it means they've been checked out by an independent group and they meet some really high standards for safety.
So it's not just about fixing the drains, it's about making sure everyone's safe while they do it.
Exactly. They look at all of AJS's safety stuff, policies, procedures, the training they give their workers. They even check their past work, make sure they're always trying to improve.
So for their clients, that accreditation is like a guarantee, right? Knowing AJS takes safety seriously and follows all the rules.
Yeah, exactly. It's a way for clients to, reduce risk, be sure the work is done right, responsibly.
So we've got the innovative technology, the happy customers, years of experience, and now this commitment to safety. AJS seems like they've got it all figured out.
They're definitely doing a lot of things right.
Okay, let's go back to that manhole infiltration thing for a minute. You said it can cause some serious problems. What kind of problems exactly?
Oh yeah, manhole infiltration, it sounds kind of minor, but trust me, it can snowball into some big issues.
Like what?
Well, the most immediate problem is groundwater contamination. When that water seeps in through cracks and leaks, it brings all sorts of pollutants with it.
Ugh, that sounds gross.
It is, and that polluted water can then get back into the soil, even into drinking water sources.
Was that a public health hazard?
Absolutely. But the problems don't stop there. Manhole infiltration can actually damage structures, too. Think about it. When that extra groundwater gets into the sewers, it increases the volume of water flowing through the pipes. More volume means more pressure.
Oh, so the pipes could burst.
They could crack, leak, even totally collapse.
Yikes. I bet fixing a collapsed sewer line is way more expensive than just sealing up a leaky manhole.
You got it. Plus, it's not just the money. A collapsed sewer line can mess up a whole neighborhood. Backups, road closures, maybe even evacuations. It's a big deal.
Okay, so preventing this whole manhole infiltration thing, it's crucial for the environment. AD for people's wallets.
Absolutely. It just goes to show how something that seems small can have a huge impact on a whole community.
And it highlights why companies like AJS are so important. With their expertise and knowledge, They can fix these problems before they become disasters.
Yeah, they're like the unsung heroes of the underground world, keeping things running smoothly.
Okay, so we know manhole infiltration is a big problem, but what can be done about it? What's AJS's solution?
Well, like with most things, the first step is figuring out what's going on. They use all sorts of methods to find the leaks and how bad they are. They might just look at it, or do dye testing, or even use ground-penetrating radar.
Wow, so they've got a whole toolkit for this.
Yep. Once they know where the problem is, they can recommend the best way to fix it.
So what kind of fixes are we talking about? Is it just patching up some cracks?
Sometimes, yeah, it can be that simple, but often it needs a more serious solution. They might use special sealants or coatings to make a watertight barrier, or if the manhole's too messed up, they might have to replace the whole thing.
I see. And are these solutions pretty standard across the industry, or is AJS doing anything unique?
They seem to be on the cutting edge here, too. I saw them mention something called chemical grouting in their notes.
Chemical grouting? What's that?
They inject a special chemical into the soil around the manhole, and it hardens, basically stabilizing the whole thing and preventing future leaks.
So it's not just fixing the leak, it's strengthening the whole area. Smart.
Right. It's all about long-term solutions.
And what about the environmental side of things? Are the materials they use for these repairs eco-friendly?
Yeah, AJS seems really big on using environmentally friendly materials whenever they can, and that includes their manhole solutions. They focus on stuff that's non-toxic, low VOC, things that won't harm the soil or water.
So they're solving the problem, but doing it in a way that protects the environment, too.
Exactly. They're thinking about the whole picture, both the immediate fix and making sure it's sustainable in the long run.
It's pretty impressive, their commitment to all of this, the innovation, customer satisfaction, and the environment.
They're really raising the bar for the whole industry.
Okay, so we've talked about manhole infiltration,
Yeah.
how bad it can be, and how AJS fixes it. Anything else we should mention before we wrap up?
I think it's really important to stress how much money can be saved by doing these preventative measures like the CCTV surveys and fixing manholes before they become a huge issue.
Yeah, let's talk about that. We mentioned it briefly, but I think it's worth digging into.
Think about a city, right? Lots of old sewer pipes and manholes. If nobody's checking them, doing regular maintenance, it's only a matter of time before something goes wrong. A pipe bursts, a manhole collapses, and then the city's stuck with this huge, expensive repair project.
And that's on top of the environmental and public health problems we talked about earlier.
Exactly. But if they invest in prevention, like those CCTV surveys and fixing manholes early on, they can stop those big problems before they even start. And fixing things early is always cheaper and easier.
It's like they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Totally. And it's not just about saving money on repairs. It's about preventing all those other bad things from happening, the contaminated water, the damaged infrastructure, all the inconvenience for people who live and work there.
So it makes sense from every angle, economic, environmental, everything.
Absolutely. And more cities are starting to realize this. Taking care of their underground infrastructure is just as important as taking care of roads and bridges.
It's amazing to think about this whole hidden network under our feet, keeping everything running.
And companies like AJS, they're the ones making sure it all works, with their expertise and dedication to doing things right.
They've really opened our eyes to a whole world we never think about, and how important it is to keep those drains flowing.
We've covered a ton today, the UV lining, manhole problems, all sorts of stuff. But honestly, I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
Me too. Maybe we need a part 4 to this deep dive.
Maybe. But for now, let's wrap things up and leave our